Bullshit Jobs, a Theory by David Graeber. Picture this. A soldier needs to move his computer from one office to another, literally just 2 rooms down the hall. Should take, 30 seconds? Pick it up, walk it over, done. But here's what actually happens. The soldier fills out a form. That form travels to an IT company contracted by the German military. They read it, stamp their approval, and send it to a logistics firm who's a subcontractor for the IT company. The logistics firm gives it the green light and reaches out to yet another company for actual human beings to do the work. Enter Kurt. Kurt receives an email telling him to drive hundreds of miles in a rental car to reach the military barracks. When he finally arrives, he fills out more forms. He unplugs the computer, puts it in a box, seals it up. Then someone from the logistics firm carries that box approximately 15 feet down the hallway. Kurt follows along, unseals the box, fills out yet another form, plugs everything back in, collects a few signatures, and drives hundreds of miles back home. 2 people spent a combined 10 hours driving and filled out 15 pages of paperwork, costing hundreds of euros, just to move a computer 15 feet. Kurt had an unsettling realization. His job was completely, utterly, magnificently useless. If his position vanished tomorrow, the world wouldn't suffer. It might actually improve a tiny bit. This isn't fiction. It's a real story, and it sits at the heart of one of the most thought-provoking books of our time. Bullshit Jobs, a Theory, by anthropologist David Graeber. The book started as a simple essay, just Graeber's hunch about modern work. He wondered, what if millions of us are living like Kurt? What if we're burning through our days, weeks, and entire lives, doing tasks we secretly know are pointless? That essay exploded online, crashed servers, got translated into more than a dozen languages practically overnight. It sparked a worldwide conversation because it finally named a silent, soul-crushing misery that so many people felt but couldn't quite articulate. Today we're pulling back the curtain on this phenomenon. By the end, you'll understand not just what a bullshit job is, but why these pointless positions are quietly taking over our economy. You'll discover the 5 major types, and you might recognize your own job, or one you've had before. Most importantly, you'll understand why a society that could have given us 15-hour work weeks and lives of leisure has instead chained us to our desks, and what we can actually do to break free. This isn't just a book summary, it's an awakening. Let's start with a puzzle. Back in 1930, a brilliant economist named John Maynard Keynes made a bold prediction. He said that by century's end, technology would advance so dramatically that in countries like the United States or Britain, we'd only need to work about 15 hours a week. And you know what? Technically, he was right. We have the technology. We absolutely could have done it. But it didn't happen. In fact, the opposite happened. Technology, instead of freeing us, got weaponized to make us work more. To pull this off, millions of jobs had to be created that are, for all practical purposes, completely pointless. This is the puzzle David Graeber tackles head-on. He starts with a simple but provocative observation. Vast numbers of people spend their entire working lives doing tasks they secretly believe are totally unnecessary. And this isn't just speculation. A poll in the UK found that a staggering 37% of workers were convinced their job made no meaningful contribution whatsoever. In Holland, that number hit 40%. Let that sink in. We're not talking about people who hate their jobs. A cleaner might despise scrubbing toilets, but they know toilets need cleaning. A garbage collector might hate the smell, but they understand that without them, the city would drown in trash. We're talking about people in often comfortable, well-paying office jobs who look at their daily tasks and think, none of this matters at all. So what exactly is a bullshit job? Graeber gets very specific here. A bullshit job isn't just a bad job. For those, he uses a different term, a shit job. Shit jobs are genuinely useful and necessary, but they come with terrible pay, awful conditions, and little respect. Think cleaners, delivery drivers, farm workers. Their work is vital, but society treats them like dirt. A bullshit job is almost the opposite. It might come with an impressive title, a comfortable office, and an excellent salary. The only problem? It serves absolutely no purpose. Here's Graeber's working definition. A bullshit job is paid employment that's so completely pointless, unnecessary, or even harmful that even the employee can't justify why it exists. Yet as part of their employment, they feel obligated to pretend otherwise. The crucial element here is subjective. The person doing the job knows it's bullshit. They might not say it at the office party. They might not even admit it to their spouse. But in those quiet moments alone, they know. They know that if their job vanished tomorrow, nothing would change. This definition helps clarify what a bullshit job isn't. A mafia hitman, for instance, has a harmful job, but not a bullshit one. He knows exactly what he does. He's not pretending it's for humanity's benefit, and in his own twisted way, he believes his work serves a purpose. A bullshit job, however, almost always involves pretense, a kind of professional theater where everyone's playing along. To help us navigate this bizarre landscape, Graeber identified 5 major categories of bullshit jobs. As we go through them, see if any ring a bell. First up, the flunkies. Flunky jobs exist purely to make someone else look or feel important. Picture a doorman at a luxury apartment building whose entire job is pressing a button to open a door that residents could easily open themselves. Or a receptionist at a company that gets maybe one phone call a day. The company doesn't actually need a full-time receptionist, but having one makes them look legitimate. Having underlings is a status symbol. Graeber shares the story of Jack, a young guy hired as a cold caller for a stockbroker. His job wasn't selling stocks. His job was calling potential clients to say, "I'm calling on behalf of a very important broker who's too busy making money to call you directly." Jack's entire existence was performance art, a prop to make his boss seem more successful than he actually was. He was, in his own words, a totem figure, paid to be a human status symbol. Second category, the goons. Goons have jobs with an aggressive element that exist only because other people employ them. The classic example is a national army. Countries only need armies because other countries have armies. If nobody had one, nobody would need one. Same logic applies to most corporate lawyers, public relations specialists, lobbyists, and telemarketers. Many people in these roles feel haunted by the sense that their work doesn't just lack positive impact, it actively makes the world slightly worse. Take Tom, the special effects artist pulling down a 6-figure salary. He loved the part where he made dinosaurs attack spaceships for movies. But increasingly, his work involved advertising. He used digital trickery to make shampoo look impossibly shiny or toothpaste unrealistically white, making viewers feel inadequate, then exaggerating how well the product would fix their manufactured insecurity. He saw his job as manufacturing dissatisfaction to create demand, pure bullshit. Third, the duct tapers. Duct taper jobs exist only because something in the organization is broken, and nobody can be bothered to actually fix it. Instead of solving the underlying problem, the company hires someone whose entire job is patching it up indefinitely. It's like discovering your roof leaks, and instead of calling a roofer, you just hire someone to stand under the leak with a bucket, emptying it every few hours, forever. There's Nuri, a programmer hired to work with a supposedly revolutionary algorithm designed to mimic human speech. Problem was, the algorithm was complete nonsense. It didn't work. So Nuri's actual job became writing simple, crude code to hide the fact that his boss's invention was a failure. He was the human duct tape holding a broken system together. Many of these jobs involve tasks that could easily be automated but aren't, for various bizarre reasons. Someone's job is literally copying and pasting data from one spreadsheet to another, 8 hours a day. Or, as one person reported, their job used to be automated, but after managers got into a fight, the automation was removed, and now a human has to do it manually. Fourth, the box tickers. Box tickers exist so an organization can claim it's doing something that, in reality, it's not doing. The work is pure performance, a ritual to create the appearance of action. Consider Betsy, who worked in a care home. Her primary duty was interviewing residents about their recreational preferences and filling out forms. These forms got filed in a binder and entered into a computer, then never looked at again. Ever. The paperwork annoyed the residents, who understood it was pointless. Betsy's most important task, according to her boss, was completing these forms. Actually entertaining the residents? Secondary concern. The forms allowed the care home to check a box, saying, yes, we're attending to residents' needs, even though the process actually interfered with doing so. This extends everywhere in the corporate world. Companies create glossy internal magazines nobody reads, commission expensive reports that gather dust. Also, an executive can say, yes, we produced a report on that. It's all corporate theater. Finally, the fifth category, the taskmasters. Taskmasters come in two flavors. First are those who assign work to people who don't actually need supervision. They're unnecessary bosses. The second type is more sinister. The bullshit generators. Their job is creating bullshit tasks for others, or even inventing entirely new bullshit positions. Graeber tells the story of Chloe, an academic dean at a university whose job was providing, quote, strategic leadership. The catch? She had zero actual power. No budget, no authority over anything that mattered. All she could do was write strategic vision documents she knew would never be implemented. But she got her own mini-empire, a personal assistant, a policy support officer, a research fellow. Her job became, as she put it, making up work for myself and other people. This is how bullshit multiplies like bacteria. An unnecessary manager needs to justify their existence, so they invent pointless tasks for their team. This creates more paperwork, more reports, more meetings, which requires hiring more people to manage the new bullshit. It's a self-perpetuating cycle. These 5 categories, flunkies, goons, duct tapers, box tickers, and taskmasters, map out the strange terrain of pointless work. But here's the emotional core of the book. Why does having a bullshit job make people so profoundly, deeply miserable? On the surface, it sounds like a dream, right? You're getting paid, often handsomely, to essentially do nothing. You could read novels at your desk, browse the internet, perfect your Italian. What's the problem? This is where Graeber explores what he calls spiritual violence. He shares the powerful story of Eric, a young man from a working-class background, first in his family to attend university. He landed what seemed like the perfect post-graduation job as an interface administrator for a design firm. His task was managing a new software system meant to help the company's offices collaborate. But he quickly discovered the truth. The system was buggy, unwanted garbage that nobody used. One partner had pushed for it, the others secretly sabotaged it. Eric was hired precisely because he had no IT experience and couldn't actually fix anything. He was a box ticker, a symbol that the company was, quote, collaborating. He had literally nothing to do. At first, he enjoyed it. He read novels, took 3-hour lunches, even started taking fake business trips to London just to hang out with friends, all on the company dime. He tried to quit, but his boss offered him a raise. He tried to get fired, showing up drunk, unshaven, wearing the same shirt for days, but they wouldn't fire him. They needed him to do nothing. The purposelessness started eating him alive. It wasn't just boredom, it was a profound sense of falseness. He wasn't living his own life. He wasn't even living his own lie. He was an unwilling actor in someone else's absurd corporate play. The experience eventually led to a complete mental breakdown at a train station. He finally quit and spent the next 6 months living in a squat, growing vegetables, just to feel like he was doing something real again. Eric's story reveals a deep truth about human nature that modern economics completely misses. Economists assume we're all rational actors trying to maximize reward while minimizing effort. If that were true, we should be thrilled by bullshit jobs. But we're not. Graeber points to psychologist Carl Gross, who discovered what he called the pleasure at being the cause. From infancy, we experience profound joy when we realize we can have a predictable effect on the world. A baby who learns she can push a pencil and make it roll will do it over and over, squealing with delight. This is the foundation of our sense of self. We know we exist because we can make things happen. A bullshit job directly attacks this fundamental human need. It tells you your actions have no impact. Your presence is meaningless. When a human being can't make a meaningful impact on the world, they, in a very real sense, cease to exist. It's not just boredom, it's being denied the very proof of your own existence. This is the spiritual violence at the heart of the problem. So if these jobs are so destructive and so widespread, why are they multiplying? Why has our economy become a massive machine for creating pointlessness? Graeber dismisses the easy answers. It's not just government bureaucracy. In fact, data shows administrative bloat has grown twice as fast in private universities as in public ones. It's not just complexity either. The real answer, he argues, lies in the rise of what he calls managerial feudalism. Over the last 50 years, capitalism has transformed. It's less about making and selling actual things, more about finance. The financial sector doesn't really produce anything. It primarily moves money around, taking a cut at every step. This has merged the world of corporate management with the world of finance. The goal is no longer traditional efficiency. In a feudal system, a lord's power isn't measured by how efficiently his peasants grow wheat. It's measured by how many retainers, vassals, and servants he commands. The more people under you, the more important you are. Modern corporations now operate on similar logic. Managers have powerful incentive not to eliminate redundant positions, because their own power and prestige are measured by how many subordinates they have. This creates endless, pointless layers of hierarchy. We see it in universities, where administrators have ballooned while teachers have stayed flat. We see it in Hollywood, where a simple script passes through a dozen executives, with titles like Executive Creative Vice President for Television, each feeling compelled to make some useless change just to justify their existence. This system isn't about producing better products or services. It's a political system for funneling corporate wealth upward, creating a new aristocracy of managers who need to surround themselves with their own courts of flunkies, box tickers, and goons. This brings us to the final, perhaps most disturbing question. Why do we, as a society, not object to this madness? Why do we put up with it? The answer, Graeber suggests, lies in our strange contradictory morality about work. On one hand, we have a deep-seated belief, inherited from centuries of religious tradition, that work is virtuous in itself. We're told work builds character, that it's discipline and self-sacrifice. The idea that someone could get something for nothing feels morally wrong. On the other hand, we have an intuitive sense of social value. We know a nurse or teacher provides more benefit to humanity than a corporate lobbyist. Yet we live in a system where there seems to be an iron rule. The more obviously your work benefits other people, the less you're likely to be paid for it. This creates a toxic political dynamic, what Graeber calls a balance of resentments. People trapped in pointless but well-paid jobs resent those who get to do meaningful work. You see it in media outrage directed at teachers or auto workers daring to ask for middle-class wages and benefits. The unspoken message is, you get to teach children, you get to make cars, you have real jobs, and you have the nerve to expect good pay too? This resentment is a powerful political force. It redirects our anger away from the system creating this absurdity and toward each other. The belief that work should involve suffering, and that anyone not engaged in intense work discipline deserves nothing, is extraordinarily convenient for those in power. A happy, productive population with free time is dangerous. A population that's overworked, miserable, and resentful of each other is not. So what can be done? Is there any escape from this trap? Graeber concludes by pointing to a solution gaining momentum worldwide: universal basic income, or UBI. The concept is beautifully simple. Give every citizen a basic unconditional payment, enough to live on, no strings attached. UBI proposes something radical, detaching survival from work. The effects would be revolutionary. First, it would obliterate the enormous, humiliating bureaucracy designed to police the poor. All those box tickers and taskmasters whose job is making life difficult for people seeking benefits would become instantly obsolete. Second, and most importantly, it would effectively abolish bullshit jobs. Think about it. If you had guaranteed income, would you choose to spend your days color-coordinating mind maps or transferring data between spreadsheets in an office where you're not allowed to speak? Of course not. People would only do jobs they felt were genuinely useful, interesting, or enjoyable. The market for bullshit jobs would collapse overnight. Critics of UBI always raise the same objection. If you pay people to do nothing, they'll do nothing. The streets will fill with lazy parasites. But, as this entire book demonstrates, that fear is based on a complete misunderstanding of human nature. The vast majority of people, given freedom, would not choose to do nothing. They'd choose to do something. Something creative, useful, something contributing to their communities. They'd write novels, invent recipes, start bands, volunteer, care for loved ones, or dream up projects we can't even imagine. The irony is, we already have a society where up to 40% of people are effectively paid to do nothing, but it's a miserable, soul-destroying, incredibly inefficient nothing. UBI simply proposes we trust people to find their own purpose. It suggests we stop valuing work as self-sacrifice and start valuing it for its actual contribution to human life. It offers a path to a world where we can finally claim the freedom technology has long promised us, the freedom to live, not just to work. As we reach the end of our exploration of bullshit jobs, it's hard not to feel a strange mixture of unease and relief. The unease comes from recognizing the truth in what David Graeber describes. We see it everywhere. The pointless meetings, the endless paperwork, the friends and jobs they can't quite explain. The relief comes from finally having words for it. Graeber didn't just write a book. He gave us language to discuss a secret collective pain. The most powerful lesson, for me, is how the book challenges our most fundamental beliefs about work. We've been taught to see work as the center of our lives, the primary source of identity and self-worth. We ask children, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" and expect a job title. We meet someone new and immediately ask, "So what do you do?" We've built our civilization on the altar of work, believing it's inherently noble, character-building, and necessary. Graeber forces us to ask, what if that's all a lie? What if the primary function of much of our work isn't producing anything useful, but simply maintaining a system of social control? What if it's not about creating value, but about discipline and power allocation? This is a radical, deeply unsettling idea, but it explains so much about the modern world that feels broken and absurd. It explains why, in an age of incredible technological potential, we feel more exhausted and spiritually empty than ever. The book is also a powerful defense of human nature. Against the cynical view that people are fundamentally lazy and will only work when threatened with starvation, Graeber shows the opposite is true. Our deepest drive is to be a cause, to have meaningful impact on the world. Being denied this is psychological torture. The misery of a bullshit job isn't boredom. It's purposelessness. It's the pain of knowing the one life you have is being spent on something that doesn't matter. So what can we do with this knowledge? How can we apply these profound lessons in our own lives, starting today? First, and perhaps most simply, we can start the conversation. The power of Graeber's idea is that it breaks a taboo. We're not supposed to admit our jobs are pointless. But once you start asking, you'll be astonished at what you discover. Ask a friend, family member, or colleague, do you feel like your work makes a meaningful contribution to the world? You don't have to use the term bullshit job. Just open the door to honest conversation. Giving people permission to speak their truth is the first step toward change. Second, we can consciously redefine our own sense of value. Our economic system is brilliant at assigning prices to things, but terrible at recognizing their true worth. Spend a week actively noticing the caring labor all around you. The person who cleans the office at night. The bus driver who gets you safely to your destination. The grocery clerk who stocks the shelves. These are the people whose work holds our world together, yet they're the ones our system values least. Acknowledging their contribution, even just to yourself or with a simple thank you, is a small act of rebellion against a system with backwards priorities. And third, if you find yourself trapped in a job that feels pointless, find your real work. This doesn't necessarily mean quitting tomorrow. It means reclaiming your sense of purpose, even in a small way. Carve out 1 hour a day, or even just 30 minutes, for a project that feels truly meaningful to you. Learn a new skill. Write that story. Volunteer for a cause you believe in. Create something. Fix something. Help someone. A bullshit job steals your time and energy, but it doesn't have to steal your soul. By consciously dedicating part of your life to work that matters to you, you're fighting a form of spiritual warfare and winning. That was a deep dive into Bullshit Jobs, a Theory by David Graeber. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary like this is just the map. The real treasure is found when you explore the territory yourself. The true power of this book lies in the hundreds of personal stories, the sharp wit and the profound humanity filling its pages. This overview is designed to help you decide if this journey is one you want to take. If anything we've discussed today has sparked a question, a frustration, or a flicker of recognition in you, then I urge you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning a new theory, it's about understanding a hidden part of your own world, and it might just change how you see your life forever. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if this exploration has brought you any value, please consider showing your support by liking this summary and subscribing to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from some of the world's most brilliant minds. Let's keep learning and growing together.